Hey guys, so I'm going to do a quick overview video and I'll try not to make it long, but this video is to review the new Scott XD air pack, the Scott X3 Pro, and then this is a Scott X3. So I'll go over each one of these air packs, what's good, what's bad from a fireman's perspective, not a sales pitch or anything like that. Real world experience, what we've experienced with each one of these packs. So this X3 is an in-service pack. This X3 Pro is a demo pack, and then the XD is Scott's newest pack. This is a demo pack. So we are demoing these two air packs to see which ones we like, and I'll tell you the differences. So let me start off with our current air pack. This is a Scott X3 with quick snap, quick change bottles. So we've been running these air packs since 2018. They've seen quite a bit of work, and we train pretty hard in them. So I do have some information I would pass on about Scott X3. So some of the issues, I'll tell you the main problem that we've had with this SCBA was when we spec'd the X3, we chose to go with alligator clips. Now this seems to be something very popular with some departments. A lot of guys like these. We're actually not entirely sure why we went with these originally. We never were given a reason why we went with these over parachutes. But what I will tell you is with alligator style clips on the X3 air pack, virtually all of these have failed in our fire department. Virtually all of these have failed. And what has happened is most of them, the spring has gone bad. So it's 2026. We started noticing problems with these around probably 2024. The problem got exponentially worse in 25. And then beginning of 26, late 25, we actually had to replace all of these harnesses and waist straps throughout most of the department. Just about every air pack needed new straps or new clips. And that was due to, again, I think it was the springs were failing, or the straps got completely shredded. And these aren't really that bad, but we had some straps get just shredded. And so none of these were holding tight anymore. So that's been our biggest complaint with these air packs. And the reason why that is such a headache if one of these fails is in order to get this replaced, the whole harness, the entire air pack needs to be flow tested, which requires us to call a Scott tech out, and it's quite a bit of money to get this repaired. So we did not have a great experience with alligator clips. Other departments, they really rave about alligator clips. Some other issues we've had with this air pack have been, we've had a couple with frame damage. So this frame is a combination of plastic and metal, and there's a weld right here. And we've had some air packs break at this weld. Now, I don't know if that's from guys grabbing on this or this getting bumped into. I'm not sure how that weld is broke, but we have had some air packs on the frame that weld would break right there. Other than that, I don't think we've had anything else on the frame break on these. The bottles on the X3, this has to be the least durable bottle I've ever experienced in my fire service career. We ran MSA Firehawks prior to switching to Scott, and we were pretty used to dragging guys on their bottles for RIT scenarios, things like that. And these bottles absolutely cannot be dragged on the ground or anything. They will scuff up so bad it'll actually put the bottle out of service. We've had to buy bottles specifically for dragging. These bottles are not durable at all. With the quick change, so a lot of guys rave about quick snaps, quick change, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to tell you, I do not like this feature. It seems convenient to be able to quickly change the bottles in and out, but the problem with quick change is the fill valve. So this is the fill valve, and this is a one-way valve. So when you tie into your Cascade and fill an SCBA bottle, you actually don't even have to turn this on. You just connect it, turn your SCBA on, and just start filling the bottle. That sounds convenient and it sounds cool, but anytime you have a one-way valve on a high pressure bottle, you're gonna have leaks, because I don't know what, I'm assuming there's a spring in here, and as long as there's pressure on the bottle, it holds that spring out, but debris and sand and dirt get into that and clog it, and then the bottles leak. So again, and then the only person who can fix the bottle is a Scott Tech. So we have out of service bottles all the time. So the price you pay for convenience, I don't think the trade-off is there. Another big problem that's a design flaw with a quick change bottle is when it comes to the universal connection. So this is your universal connection. And anytime that we have ran a RIT drill and wanted guys to use the universal connection, it doesn't matter how much we train on it, there's always an individual who will attempt to plug in right here on a universal connection. They'll think that this is the UC when this is the UC. Why Scott made that like that, I don't know. I guess they just didn't have a choice. And the rule of thumb, you know, that I've heard before is, guys, when you're assessing a down firefighter, you grab this bar, run your hand down it, and you'll find the UC connection. It sounds good, but unless you're constantly drilling on that, and I mean consecutively drilling on that, the reality of it is when you go assess a firefighter, you're going to use a transfill or universal connection. You just automatically start grabbing on their pack, and with a gloved hand, as soon as you feel this feels like this in your brain, and you will attempt to plug in right here, and it obviously doesn't work. So this design flaw to me is just bad. It's just a bad design. I don't like it, and I don't think the trade-off for quick snap bottles is worth it. So that is about it with X3, Scott X3. So this is a Scott X3 Pro. Now, the differences in X3 Pro compared to X3 are very minor, very small. You probably won't even really notice. But obviously the biggest one that you'll find or see guys walking around with these red straps. These are the Scott's Decon straps that they've come up with. What they've also done is introduced plastic parachute straps, and the frame is all relatively the same. They haven't changed anything with that. And then they updated buddy breather. So there's the two buddy breathers. So this is X3, X3 Pro. So that was something that they changed between the packs. I'll give you things I don't like about X3 Pro. Obviously, one being that this air pack is basically the same thing as this air pack. There really isn't that much difference, okay? Decon straps, I'm not a fan of. I understand the idea behind this. You're supposed to be able to take this off, wash it, and your air pack, clean your air pack. The problem is there's design flaws in it. One being, these are all connected by snaps. If you know one thing about the fire service and one thing that's not working right now, but they keep using over and over again, are snaps and zippers. Zippers do not last in the fire service, and neither do snaps. And you can see right here, one of these on this decon strap is already broken. This is broken already. So I already know this doesn't hold up. This will not hold up to the abuse, at least at our fire department. If you're a fire department that goes to a lot of work and you train a lot and guys are constantly ripping these things off and then putting them back on, one, you're going to have accountability issues because guys are going to take these off and they're going to throw them in the corner. They're not going to put them back on, so they get lost. And two, look, they're going to break. They're going to break. So, you know, the other thing their other selling point with these straps is the padding, a comfort thing. And I'm going to tell you that it sounds good, but the problem with all this padding is when you go to a fire and you come back from a fire, guys will wash these air packs down, or they somehow manage them one or another. They're doing overhaul and they get soaking wet with a hose line. These paddings are like sponges. All they do is absorb water. So you put this air pack back in the seat, the next crew comes in the morning, they go to sit in the seat, and now you leaning up against a sopping wet air pack. Okay, I'm sure everybody's experienced that because we even experienced that on our X3 air packs. And this isn't even that much padding, but all of this will hold water and just be sopping wet for days. So I already know that's going to be an issue with that. I do not like all the extra padding. You're wearing your bunker gear, you have padding, multiple layers already on you. I don't see why you need more padding. The manufacturers just keep adding more and more to these air packs when what they need to be doing is adding less and less. We want a lighter air pack, a more durable air pack. Quit putting all this crap on it. Okay? With the plastic parachute straps, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this. Again, plastic in the fire service. Now they say that this is some high strength plastic. Again, I don't know. To me, this just feels like plastic. All right. I don't know how durable this is going to be if you're a fire department that's ran these for a while and they've been durable for you and they're working. Let me know in the comments. But I actually got some feedback from a busy fire department up north that's using these, and they've reported problems. So what they reported to me was they don't know if the straps are defective or if the buckle or the parachute strap is defective, but none of their straps are holding tight. And they think that this plastic from wear and tear is leaving some sort of film on the strap, and it's causing the guys to jump off the truck. They pull the air pack tight and then it just loosens right back up. So I'm not entirely convinced that this was the right solution. I think they should have left these metal. Previous generations of air packs, if you've been around a while, you know all the parachute straps were always metal. We never had issues with air packs loosening. Now I'm hearing plastic parachute straps are loosening, not holding. We know alligator clips fail and loosen. So something's going on. Something is not working. Okay, something else new on this Scott X3 Pro is this scan ID par tag thing that they have going on now. And I'm not even sure entirely how this works. I think what happens is you show up on scene, you're supposed to scan this probably near your battalion buggy, and you scan into the scene and it checks you in or something. We don't use that type of technology around here. We just find it not to be durable and not to be reliable. So, but they will not let you spec an air pack. Scott will not spec an air pack where this is not a feature that comes with the air pack. They make you get this feature whether you're going to use it or not. Again, this just adds weight. So this regulator, or this pass device is heavier than X3's pass device, which didn't have that feature. Okay. So that is the X3 Pro. Nothing really much else has changed in X3 Pro. This is Scott's newest air pack, which is the Scott XD wireframe. A lot of hype around this air pack because if you know anything about Scott, the classic Scott wireframe was the ultimate legendary air pack. So they've since brought the design back, but with a little bit of tweaks. So one of the biggest things between these two air packs that everyone wants to know is which one of those guys is lighter. It has to be the wireframe. It's not. They weigh the exact same. This air pack weighs the exact same as Scott X3 Pro, which is kind of a letdown. We were hoping that the air pack would get lighter. It didn't, so it is what it is. What you will notice though is that this Scott XD air pack is actually feels lighter on you, and it feels lighter because it's more ergonomical to wear. And that's due to the fact of this air pack is not using a quick change bottle. This is your standard twist on bottle. So you cannot spec a Scott XD air pack with quick change. When you have a quick change bottle like this, okay, all of the weight on a quick change is on the bottom of the air pack. So if you stand back and look, you can kind of see how that is kind of poking out towards the bottom. All of the weight is on your hips and lower back with a quick change bottle. That's another downfall to this. Whereas Scott XD, because it's just your standard, you now have all the high pressure stuff kind of up here and not so much on your lower back anymore. That makes this air pack feel and wear like it's lighter. It feels better on you. It feels lighter. Okay, but it's not. So another feature for Scott XD, you can see your universal connection is right here now, so it's poking straight out. I really like that feature because it makes it easy to find on a down firefighter. If someone's coming up to you and they don't use Scott air packs, or they're running a different version of Scott air packs and the only way to give you air is transfill, this makes it nice and easy to find. This is the cover for it. I have the cover off right now, but that cover just covers that up. So that's a nice feature. This is the buddy breather. So it's the same as Scott X3 Pro. Buddy breathers, they don't use different buddy breathers. They're pretty much the same. But what you notice is Scott XD buddy breathers on the left side, where it should be. This is huge. Scott did something great here. Now your universal connection and your buddy breather are on the left side. A lot of firefighters around the nation use the phrase left is for life. So your air is your lifeline. Anytime I come up to a down firefighter or a firefighter having an air emergency, all I have to remember is left for life. All of their connections are on the left side. If you go with Scott X3 Pro, it's on the right side and transfill is on the left side, or your universal connection. I don't like that. I like everything being simple. Again, simplicity. In an air emergency, you need simplicity. You don't need stuff to be complicated, and you don't want firefighters to have to do a lot of thinking. The Scott XD air pack was built mainly for durability, and you can tell when you hold this air pack that that is exactly what they built the air pack around. On the frame, we did not notice any real failure points or points that looked weak, like they would fail. The pack seems very durable, very stout. I really like the frame and what they did with it. This is a new feature for Scott, which isn't really new. If you've been around a while, this is how they used to make airpack straps. They were just basically pieces of webbing. Scott has gone back to that. We don't need all this padding. This is what we need. Thank you, Scott. We need a simple airpack. Okay? You might be thinking that because that has no padding, that might wear on your shoulders or be uncomfortable. We have not noticed any problem with these straps. We actually prefer these straps. We thought that these straps performed a lot better and would last a lot longer. I'm not a huge fan of the buttons, or the snaps, but that's what you have to get. On XD, they've kind of gone back to that old school style pass alarm. This pass alarm is okay. I tend to like X3's pass alarm a lot better. So here's X3 Pro, and then there's XD. So what I don't like about this pass is this round dial. I like a bigger screen. I think that this is a little small. I wish they would have just left the pass alone and put this pass on this airpack. I'm not sure why they changed to this pass. This pass still comes with the scan ID tag, so this thing feels kind of heavy, and they will not let you spec an airpack without getting that. You have to get that. This is all that connects. So there's like a little rubber piece, clips in right there, and that's what connects this to the shoulder harness. Not a big fan of that. I wish they did something better than just this. This is going to become a disposable item. Obviously, this is going to break and come off, and then this gets a little loose, and it's a little floppy. It's a little, it'll dance on you. So another thing you'll notice with XD, specifically on this airpack, is there's no padding. This is just kind of like straight material, very thin but feels very durable, versus all the excessive padding on these red straps. Now what I'll tell you is you can get these red straps. You can ask Scott to put all this padding in these decon harnesses on this airpack if you want that. I don't think it's necessary. Again, I think they hold water, and I don't think they're durable. We've actually experienced these padding because guys are sitting on this all day in the trucks, getting in and out of the trucks. This will start ripping, and then it has to be replaced. I don't think you will have that issue with these. Again, I think this design right here was built for durability. Now, they sent us the XD pack with the alligator clips. And after demoing the alligator clips versus parachute straps, even though I stated earlier that the alligator clips gave us a lot of problems, I still believe they're the better option. They seem to just be easier to use. They seem to tighten and loosen faster. We had a lot of good feedback with the alligator clips. Some of our guys are not wanting to go to this because they had a bad experience on our X3. But what I'll tell you is what Scott has done on both airpacks is all of these harnesses are fully removable now. So you can take this entire harness off and the waist belt off in the station and decon all these straps, and you do not have to flow test your airpack. So what that means is if a strap becomes damaged or it's not holding tight anymore, you can just order a whole new harness, shoulder strap or waist strap, and the guys can swap it right in-house, and the airpack doesn't have to be flow tested. So that applies to XD, and X3 Pro has the same feature. So all the straps are fully removable, replaceable. That's a nice feature. Another huge thing with XD is this air pack is considered low profile. Now this is a 30-minute cylinder. We run 30-minute cylinders. We don't run the big fat bottles. These are the smallest bottles you can get, 30-minute bottles. But you can see how much of a low profile this bottle is. On a quick change bottle, the bottom stands out. So anytime you're trying to maneuver through a low profile, this is the highest part on you. Again, that is another downfall to quick change. So there are a lot of trade-offs when you opt for a quick change bottle. You're trading off a lot. XD, no quick change. So it's your standard how all the Scott bottles come in and out. This is where the batteries are. So they didn't change anything about that. It takes like 6 AAs. And that is pretty much it between all the air packs. If I had to choose between X3, X3 Pro, or XD, hands down, no questions asked, I would pick XD in this configuration right here. This is the ultimate air pack. This is the ultimate, most durable, long-lasting air pack that I believe will be on the market. Nothing compares. We demoed all the air pack manufacturers and nobody is even close to a design like this air pack. This pack is very comfortable. It is the most comfortable air pack we wore, and it appears to be the most durable air pack on the market. Okay, now let's talk about the different options you can get from Scott now in related to regulators and SCBA masks. So right now, that's been around for a while. This is AV3000 mask. These masks have been out for quite some time, and this is an AV3000 regulator. Most people, when they think of Scott, this is the combination that they think of. And it's a tried and true combination. Been around a while, works well, but it's not bulletproof. Okay, so I'll tell you some of the issues that we've had with AV3000. So the first one being is, look at this. Okay, this is my mask. This mask is about a year old. I got this mask about a year ago. And I'm replacing a mask about every year or so, but we train a lot, we do a lot of live burns, we go to a lot of fires, so these masks get pretty beat up. But with that being said, this is a common problem with AV3000, and we're not the only ones to experience that. All of that rubber folds in on itself, and it makes the mask hard to don. Okay, I know that some people will say, well, you stick a football in there when you're not using the mask, or you stick a ball in there or something, and it'll hold it open and it'll help fix that. Okay, I don't feel like I should have to do that. I feel like the equipment should just work. I mean, this is one of the most important pieces of equipment we have, and to have this kind of issue going on constantly, and the solution is to stick a ball in there, just seems a little ridiculous. Like, why don't you just make the mask better? Okay, but that is a major problem with AV3000. Another one is this top strap. Okay, I'm not sure why Scott makes an AV3000 with a top strap. They make AV3000 with just 4 straps. So you can spec them in 4 strap or 5 strap. The 5 strap one shouldn't even be an option. In my opinion, this is nothing but a thing that's going to give you pain on top of your head and give you a headache. We have had guys have problems getting all of these straps adjusted correctly, and this strap seems to give people a lot of problems. This system should just be a 4 strap system. This 5th strap, to me, needs to go away. This needs to not even be an option, but this is what our department orders. I don't like it. It's my biggest complaint for AV3000. Some other issues we've had with these masks. This area tends to be where you get the cracks. So if your mask experiences a lot of heat or goes through heat cycles and it just takes the most minor fall or falls off the truck and hits here, it's gonna crack. And that we're constantly replacing masks because they get cracked. This is where your voice amp would be, which is a big, gigantic thing that sticks out the side. It's heavy. It makes the mask uncomfortable. Nobody wears them. Okay, if you're a fire department that goes to a lot of fires and trains a lot and you've used AV3000 voice amps, you know they suck. Not a good design. AV3000 regulator, pretty good regulator. Been around a while. They haven't been completely bulletproof for us. The biggest problem we've had with them is they leak after heavy use. So this thing gets banged up and abused, it'll just randomly start leaking. So that's why we opt for the ones that disconnect, so we can just pop them off and replace them. But if I go over to my current department one, you can see this one's not in bad shape. But yeah, those guys, they leak. So that's about it with AV3000. This is what we currently use. It's been okay. It hasn't been great, it's been okay. Some people rave about AV3000. These two masks is what Scott has recently come out with. This is a C5. That's what they're calling this model, C5. C5 came out in around 2021. The first generation of C5 was not good, okay? It doesn't take very much internet research to find a lot of firefighters complaining about Gen 1 C5. Scott went back, redesigned the mask. This is a Gen 2. And Gen 2 has been vastly improved. Honestly, I don't have any complaints about the C5 mask. I find this mask to be, one, just more comfortable. It's just a more comfortable mask to wear. Most of our guys reported this mask being more comfortable. This mask will also seat on your face a lot tighter than AV3000. So it seals better, it feels better. The view in it, so your field of vision in it is better. So they've brought the mask more out, so you have your peripheral vision a lot better than in an AV3000. You don't have any peripheral vision in AV3000. But that was something they improved. The voice emitters are better. You can hear each other better in this mask. And I just found donning this mask was a lot better because we don't have that rubber folding in on itself. Now, again, this is a new mask. I don't know if it's going to start having that problem. It doesn't feel like it's going to. And that's mostly because this, although this is kind of connected, it's kind of different. It's not like leaning so much on the rubber. Whereas if you look at an AV3000 mask, that's really what's causing that. All that weight, it just wants to push down. But on these C5 masks, it doesn't seem, you see how that's kind of separated? It seems like they fixed that issue. Okay, you can spec a C5 mask with a top strap. This is not, I mean, it is a top strap, but it's not adjustable. So when you're wearing it, it looks like this. But the mask is just more comfortable to wear. It seems like it will be more durable. It was easy to adjust. No big complaints with the mask. So I think they did improve that. Now this is a C5 regulator. So Scott changed the regulator on the C5 series. It is a bigger regulator than your AV3000 regulator. It's a little fatter. They've changed some things. Supposedly, this regulator is easier to breathe on. And to be honest with you, it does feel easier to breathe on this mask. They've got rid of the top button. So AV3000, you would click this button, pull this back, and turn. On C5, that's not the case anymore. That's a light now, so it shows your air level, and this is just one all-in-one. So bigger, easier to breathe on, one-click feature. We didn't really have any issues with it being one click. Guys still sometimes accidentally click the regulator off and then forget to click that all the way, but the bypass is relatively the same. I mean, there's a little cover over it now. Of course, right there you had the little wire exposed. The heads-up display is a little bit better, so now they have features in here like your battalion can tell you to evacuate the building, and they can send a little alarm out that'll connect to your air pack and it'll start signaling you to leave the building. Again, we don't typically buy into any of those features. We just find them unreliable. So another big feature or difference between AV3000 and C5 is this regulator goes on one way and it comes off one way. So that's it. That's the motion. This cannot be put on this way. It can't be put on this way. It's a one way. This comes off the same way. AV3000 can be put on any way. It can go on like this. It can go on in this orientation. It can come off in any orientation. Now you'd think that that's just a minor trade-off. And in some aspects it is. Most people, when they click the regulator on, they do this and they turn. But when they take it off, some guys tend to click and they come this direction and they come off. So guys didn't really start noticing that until they realized this was a one-way turn, and they didn't realize that would bother them. And it didn't really bother them that much. It was just a notable feature. Now, the problem with it, there is a problem when you have these two masks and you have a regulator that only goes on one way. And the problem comes in when you have to do a regulator swap in a RIT scenario. So if I'm the rescuer and I'm coming up to a down guy and he needs a regulator, again, simplicity. I just want to put this thing on the guy's mask and turn that way, turn that way. I'm just looking for a click. When I have a regulator that only goes on one way, that makes me have to think a little bit harder. And already the worst case scenario, a guy doesn't have a regulator in, I'm trying to give him a regulator, and now I have to remember this goes on this way and it turns one way. It will not turn that way. I don't think Scott was thinking about that when they designed this. This should go on any direction. Obviously the orientation should always end up this way, but I should be able to seat this regulator on in any orientation, or they need to make the RIT regulator universal in the way it goes on, but I don't think that they can. I think we're kind of stuck with this. So I don't love that feature. That is probably the thing I hate the most about the C5 series, is this one way on, one way off. And it's only related to RIT, okay? Another feature that I do not like between these two masks is there's a piece of rubber, and this is connected to the nose cone sticking out right here, and this is how it makes its seal, okay? That presses against that when you click on, and what we've noticed is when you go to seat this and turn, because you have plastic rubbing on rubber, it doesn't like to turn that easily. It will go on. It's not like a struggle, but it's a noticeable, like, it's a little bit harder to turn it on. AV3000, it's nothing. There's nothing touching there. It just twists on very easily. And here, I'll show you. Okay, very simple. This guy, I can feel the rubber working against me. Again, I don't know if it's a design flaw. I don't know if Scott noticed that. We noticed that, and I don't love that feature. I wish the regulator clicked on a little bit easier, and there's kind of a side-by-side comparison. You can see how much more peripheral vision you have in C5. So ultimately, I say all that, I still think C5 is better than AV3000, and there are a lot of hardcore AV3000 people. But I think Scott has since fixed the issues. Although this has its little features that kind of nag me a little bit, I still think that this is the better setup. I think Scott is headed in the right direction. If you go to spec your Scott air packs, you can spec them with either series. So you can get an XD air pack with AV3000, or you can get it with C5. You can get an X3 Pro with C5 or AV3000. Your choice. Last but not least is the comms mask. This is Scott's answer or newest thing for radio comms in your mask. We are not a department that buys into a lot of this technology. Again, we think it's unreliable. It's, problematic to use. We just don't typically buy into this stuff. I'm going to tell you, I do not like the design of this at all. First of all, this thing is heavy. This is way too heavy to be your SCBA mask, and all the weight is on the chin part. So this thing, when you're wearing it, it just wants to hang off your face. Not a comfortable design. They put a bone mic here, so this is up against your temple. So this mask has a microphone in it, and the microphone, let's see where the microphone is. A little hole in there, that's where the mic is. And so what the idea behind this is, this connects to your radio. So if you're an officer, this would connect to your handheld portable. When you key up, you don't need to raise the microphone up to the mask or the voice emitters. You can just key up and start talking, and you can transmit. When someone answers you or replies, you get all your radio traffic in the bone mic. So that thing rests up against your temple, you can hear all the radio traffic. When you're demoing this, it actually seems kind of cool, but you have to think, and we already know, imagine you're an officer trying to do a search, or you have some sort of issue going on in a house where you're trying to communicate with other firefighters or your crew, and all you have is this radio traffic just blaring into your brain. It's distracting. It sounds good on paper, but it's too much. It's like information overload or overloading your system. If I need to talk on the radio or I need to listen to something, I'll pick my radio up and listen, but I don't want to hear all that while I'm trying to work. Again, sounds good on paper and practical applications. I don't think this is going to work well. And anytime you're using Bluetooth or you have to connect radios, we just find that to be problematic. Guys don't want to come in every morning or if they're floating, trying to boot these up or trying to connect them to the radios because they're not assigned to this station, and then they're calling chiefs trying to figure out how to do this. It just never works how you think it's going to. This is the volume. So if I wanted to turn down all of the comms, I would use this to turn it down. That's their answer to, if you don't want to listen to the radio traffic, you can just turn it down. Again, how about I just pick my mic up and listen to it, or pick my mic up and talk when I need to talk, and if I don't need to say anything, I just put it down. I don't think that we're quite there yet with the technology, and I don't think this was exactly the answer to, I guess, the problem they think we have with comms. One last thing on the C5 masks that are nice is the harness is fully removable, so you can decon the whole harness, take it off, throw it in the washer or extractor and clean it and put it back on. Again, if your harness breaks, really easy to replace it. AV3000 doesn't come off at all. So you have to actually take the straps completely out to remove the harness, to replace it. Kind of a pain in the butt. Scott's kind of improved that. So again, I'm not trying to knock Scott or speak poorly of them, but I just don't like this design. It's too heavy, it's too much. But if your department is using this and you're liking it, let me know. Let's talk about it. Put it in the comments. Let me know. But as far as I know, our department is not asking for that. Okay, so that's all I got on all the air packs and masks. Hopefully this video helped you. Hopefully it was informative. I'm sorry if it's a little long, but it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of information to get out there and pass along. So be safe out there. And if you're looking for air packs, just get the air pack that fits your department the best. All right, see ya.